Welcome to the latest episode of the Financial Frontier. I'm your host, Patrick Camuso. I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. Her name is Jiazi. She's the founder and CEO of ETZ Soft, which is a crypto friendly retirement platform. Today, we'll be discussing crypto taxation, retirement planning, and some very powerful tax planning strategies. Jiazi, thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to share more knowledge around tax advantage digital assets.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, can you start by just sharing your journey in crypto and Web3 and why you founded ETZ Soft?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, it has been it's almost like how my life have always been. Like I love to push the limits, and I'm always very curious about new things. And so, when I discovered blockchain, which has been around for a long time, which is kind of all more like a data layer of a technology, and then I was like, this is interesting. But later, when Vitalik and write the white paper on DeFi, that's where I really realized that digital asset and the future of digital asset. I was so bought in the idea of, I think in my generation, digital asset will be one of the largest asset class in the future, and that's what really got me excited. I was like, I have to be part of this, and but the angle of how to be part of it, it took me a lot of time because I was trading on digital asset, made some money, and then I was looking at different tokens and so ever. But then I was looking at infrastructure as well because we need a lot of infra to make sure the industry is grow in healthy way, and also was reading about regulations, which everyone want to talk about. And somehow after all that discovery, I fell in love with solving tax issues when it occurred in the digital asset. So that's what ETZ was born, is intersection. While you digital asset growing, your tax liability is also growing. And then so I say, well, that's such a strong pinpoint. So how we solve that. That's also how I met you, Patrick. And thank you for your work in the space as well. And then we are very dedicated to work with CPAs and like yourself, and to make sure we have handled it well for our customers.
Absolutely. And it's great to work with you as well because you're providing a very much needed product in the market for
Thank
crypto
you.
investors and for founders. So
Yeah.
can you maybe explain how ETZ Soft works for someone that is sort of new to the concept of crypto IRAs in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So ETZ actually has multiple arms and business, and for different customer and our audience. And then so I will start with a different bracket of audience. So first is for example, my own mother and my loved ones, and also my best friends. And a lot of them don't really know digital assets that well. They're not crypto native, but they have been wanted to be participate. And so nowadays they will go on Coinbase or Robinhood and buy some Bitcoin, or they buy Bitcoin ETF. But then one day, mom actually asked me, can I diversify a couple of percent out of my retirement account? Because she realized that she want to hold Bitcoin for a long time. And so the answer was, at that time, this is about 3 years ago, is no, you can't, because there's no accessibility in that market. And that's where like ETZ income IRA, which is ETZ. If you go on App Store, you type ETZ IRA, and you see your apps that allow you to diversify your retirement account into digital asset. And so we do not manage clients' funds. I believe in financial freedom. I believe you should have access to something if you want to diversify into. And so that's one. And then that's facing mass market. And then second is that we start looking at what other group of people that have a pain point we can solve, and turn out to be friends of mine. And then we're all crypto founders and Web3 founders, and then so people going to Puerto Rico, people going offshore. But what about sunny California? What about very fun? What about the fun in New York, right? So I feel like I don't want them to work for something and gave up their lifestyle. So to how to do that is using sophisticated tax advantaged verticals, such as Roth IRA, such as trust structure, and then like the charitable structure, and then the charitable remainder trust, so ever, and to make sure that your tax stability is managed. So that a lot of firm we encountered that do this for many years for other founders, but do not understand digital asset because they don't know how to storage them. They don't know how to really transact those assets. So we end up to become the company that's fluently with the tax advantage structure, also fluent from digital asset. So that's the founder we serve, and also some VC firms and investors as well. And the third bracket is where we realize that we like Bitcoin ETF, but also we don't. Why is that? Because Bitcoin ETF doesn't really trade 24/7. We do the reason why I believe in digital assets is a global market and it's 24/7. And then so Bitcoin ETF doesn't trade 24/7. And then I think it defeat why join the digital asset. And also Ethereum ETF, you can't really stick. So in the digital asset world, we can stick the asset to earn more yield on it. So I want the client money to work harder for the client. And so I have always promote to own the underlying asset, to own the actual digital asset. Don't be afraid about it. Learn about how custodian works, and we're here to teach you. And then also to not just go ahead do ETF, which is more easier way out because this is a long-term investment for you and your family. So the kind of like the education is I'm sure Patrick you also very into. We want to educate more people. So that one is actually the income IRA where your IRA is actually earning more money for you, and that product is both love in the mass market and also our high net worth clients like founders.
Very interesting. And I love how you set it up because I also believe in self custody and that, self custody in your Bitcoin is superior in most regards to the ETF. I do think it's great the ETF is getting more broader exposure to the market, but
Mhm.
products like yours can allow people also to get that exposure and still be able to self custody. So yeah, you guys are serving basically the whole entire market because you have a product offering that can really offer tax benefits to founders, and then a product that can offer huge tax benefits to investors as well. But I know sometimes it's a daunting process for both of those groups to take the step of actually getting themselves set up with these types of accounts. So how does that work with ETZ? How is the process from account creation to managing the investments? How have you guys approached that, and how easy or difficult is it?
Yeah, it's actually that's a great question. So for the mass market product, you download a mobile app and you will go through a KYC process, just like how you open a account at Robinhood or Coinbase. And we may ask a little bit more information, and it's because like to open up a retirement or IRA account, and we have a certain KYC we have to do. It's called Know Your Customer. It's part of the regulation. Don't be afraid of that. We do not storage any customers' information. It's really just the compliance. And then after that, when you can actually transfer, roll over your other retirement account money to ETZ, we actually do. The good news is we do handle the rollover for you. And then if you want to make a new contribution, we just need to know that what accounts you wanted to actually transfer it to, just like how you deposit into Coinbase or Robinhood. And then after that, you have a mobile app. When you log in, you will see your balance on the top, just like how you trade Coinbase as well. So you can actually self-serve the buy, sell, and 200 plus tokens as well. And then you can actually manage it yourself. And it very eventually will actually allow you to do more than just that. And so here at TZ, we want to give you a trust and safe environment. So we do vet some the product, like actually we vet our product on the our platform. And then so that's and in terms of the high net worth individual, also some of the founder products, because there's a lot of estate planning, and also a tax structure. So ever we will often work with the law firm and also the founders accounting firm like you yourself. And then we come together, work as a team. We come up with a plan that's dedicated for that founder's needs and their family's needs. And sometimes they come in different shape. And after that, we start with the account opening process along with other firms that's on the same, client. And so it's a very buttoned up and white glove service for that product. And so we're trying to make sure that client understand what they're doing and then bought into this structure for the long term for them and their children and their family. So two are kind of designed in a way that what's the need and what's the nature and how to get you comfortable and how to build the trust with customers.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. So the founder tokens are interesting. I think that's an interesting strategy. I know you've had a lot of success
Yeah.
with founders doing this strategy on your platform. So
Yep.
can you explain some of the main benefits of putting founder tokens into a Roth IRA and how this strategy usually works for people that are doing it?
Yeah, definitely. So I want to explain things are more like actually I wish we maybe next time I have a whiteboard or something. And then so I'm just using a triangle as that. So a lot of times like client come into different formats. Sometimes they have a trust company. But having a trust company, the major reason of having a trust company often is for liability and also for like a privacy as well. You don't want people search up your name knowing everything you own. And but trust itself doesn't really exempt or deduct tax and as much. You can do like a QSBS and you can also do getting or so ever, but that has a limitation with it. So under the trust, you should be adding more structure inside of it. And so then if you use Roth IRA alone, your name is attached to it. So a lot of founders think about liability and privacy. People can just look you up, right? And so you want to have a trust to protect the privacy and liability, which is I see the triangle on the top of the triangle. And then the leg of the triangle, you want to think about what you need. A lot of founder has a hyper growth, right? We all here trying to shoot for the moon. Money is not the only reason, but the tax is definitely a pain. And so then, but that said, we use Roth IRA and also we use a charitable remainder trust and other formats. So for let's talk about the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA is actually I would say it's a retirement account, but the good about it is there's zero capital gain in the Roth IRA. So a lot of times in the beginning when you just start a company, it's worth nothing. So you can actually have a way of actually buy using Roth IRA to buy portion of the asset you are growing. If that's a company, if that's an investment, if that's anything, if that's a token position, and by that means your Roth IRA would own actually that piece of asset that's growing really fast. You will grow inside of a tax free environment. And so, for example, Peter Thiel, and in really early the days, 1999, Peter Thiel bought his majority and a PayPal stock and PayPal equity at that time, and using a Roth IRA. But that time, PayPal was not worth anything. And then when he IPO'd, the assets were actually inside of his Roth IRA. And so then later he used that money to invest in more companies, right? And then so I believe he has like 5 or 6 billion now in the Roth IRA. That's the example. But I do realize in the market people call it loophole whatsoever. And I think it's how you look at it. Why? Because one thing is that the legal wise, you actually are not allowed to use your own Roth IRA to buy from your own company. But there's other way of doing that because people have multiple companies often. And sometimes you're the officer or you're just the advisor. So there's a way of that. But terms of loophole, I feel like I don't really call it loophole in the sense is that it's fully legal with today's legal structure, and I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. And but I often ask my client, "What's the worst case?" The worst case is go ahead pay tax. And so I think I believe that's actually the smart strategy. And then for you to protect yourself. Now that's the Roth areas on the charitable remainder trust and then on the other charitable way of is that myself. I actually want to donate majority of my shares to the charity. And so while during the time I'm alive, I want to also enjoy my wealth and to raise my children and take care of my parents. And so you set up actually a private foundation where you will be the sole president and a chairman of the foundation, where you would donate your asset inside that. When you donate inside that with a promise you'll be donating in the future. So it's actually at a good cost. And at the same time, you can enjoy the money while you're alive as well. And so eventually, if you gave your foundation to your children, your children don't need to pay 40% inheritance tax. In fact, that those children can continue run your legacy. And I do think that you wanted to make money and you want to be successful, but you also want to give back to the world. And so ETZ is kind of making this triangle possibility happen in the digital asset world, because this has been around for a very long time. And almost every single rich family has a setup. But I was asking a question, why is that exist in digital asset? And then I think the answer was because digital asset is very new. You take a team who understand both sides and to able to build product like this. So my team just right around intersection of the two. So I'm very lucky to able to launch ETC.
Absolutely. And that was a very good explanation of these tax strategies that oftentimes are complex but very powerful, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
for many years outside of crypto and are completely relevant to digital assets as well. So, how are these conversations going with your clients? Are there any common misconceptions or fears that people have when you start explaining these strategies to them? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, like we have been doing a great job, because like I think we often clients send us to talk to their law firm. A lot of law firms is actually very open minded, and some of their content is also very open minded. They are not very like they actually weird of a product like this in the traditional finance market for a very long time. So it was hard for them to get the nuance of digital asset into it. But when you talk about why it's important for a founder, that has been like a no brainer. And so few question has ever came up, and then it was not really queasy. It was more actually like, for example, like when this loophole would close, and is this loophole gonna be forever? Just so want to make to give you some peace of mind, is that working with ETZ is that we have an entire flow that credited by law firms that is backing us. So everything we do here is by the law. And then but what's going to happen in the future? We will never promise that either. But at this moment, what we know is that and is fully legal to do something like this, but to making sure that where you buying the asset from and who you buy it from, when you buy it from, and at what price, and the transaction document is all need to be very buttoned up. I think a lot of folks had the trouble is because they weren't doing that correctly. They were not buying from the right company, or the transaction document wasn't buttoned up. And so that's where I wouldn't say it's black and white. It's more so that make sure you manage your risk working with a firm who actually done it many times before. That's one thing. And the second of all, I would say on the charitable side of it, we have seen articles out there seeing people abuse the charity foundations and so ever. I have to say that that's not really a legal question. That's more like a moral question. And so when I donate my shares from the company, I actually wanted to support more females. I want to support more immigrants. And then, so things like that. And also like, I'm honestly like, I guess it's getting to a little bit politics stuff now. I think for me, is that for the immigrant really come here to work their butt off. And so ever, I wanted to see them getting the help. Long story short, and then so for me it's like on a more aspect, that's a much longer conversation. But the question was that it's actually legal. That's absolutely. Lastly, is that we have a legal opinion letter for any product we do, where sometimes we share that with the law firm and represent the client. It was always like, yeah, we understand. And then because there will be people abuse those products. But your question next is that when you abuse it, what they're using the money for, have that really do it by following the law, or they actually try to cut corners? So it wasn't the product issue, it's more how you do it. That's the question.
Absolutely. And that could be with, any tax regulation that can get
Of
abused. It
course.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's like you said, even referring to it as a loophole kind of gives it a negative connotation, and I agree with that as well. It is perfectly, legal, but you also shouldn't you should be doing it within the bounds of the regulations, and that's where people
Right.
run into issues.
Yeah, this is where I would say they should definitely like they should work with ETZ, work at Patrick, and you've been in the market for a long time now. They should work with a professional because it is a product that's complicated, and it's the product that if you don't do it right, you will occur risk. It's not the product issue, is that who you thinking for advice from, and are you actually doing enough homework? So please work with a professional on doing that, and because you save a lot of nightmares for yourself.
Oh yeah, and these are the types of things that you need to work with professionals in advance and work on these things before you implement them to try to avoid any of these issues that sometimes you can't unwind if you don't take those steps.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and also the best practice. Some you may think some of the professional costs certain things, but time that it save you. Also, the best practice and everything they know what to do, what not to do is priceless.
Exactly, exactly. So, if you can give one piece of advice to an individual or a founder that's considering retirement accounts, what would it be?
I would say start early. And so first of all is that like when you form a company, right? People, it's really funny. Like sometimes founders don't talk to me until it's too late, and I feel like why is that? Because the idea was like I was so busy building my company, I was so busy raising money, and but I was like, if you're here trying to make your company successful, and if your company is successful, you will hit with the tax liability. So if you don't come talk to us, that means do you think your company will not be successful? And then so like so the action and then the with the mindset, like I can understand, but I actually don't understand. And then so yeah, so I would say if you are here to set yourself to success, making sure your own strategy for your tax planning are also set yourself to success, because the two should be going the same direction, not a reverse inverse direction. And then the more money you make, the more tax you pay, kind of direction. So yeah,
Exactly.
so I would say start a conversation early, and that's one. And then two is that when you grow your wealth in a different stage of your wealth growth, there should be not be one shoes fits for all. It should be a different product at different time. Like if you just start your company paying 20 $30,000 start a trust company, it doesn't really make any sense. You can
Yeah.
start a Roth IRA and figure out how to leverage like a Roth IRA to own portion of the asset, and then do the Peter Thiel thing. And then it's gonna be lower cost and much faster. And then well, this few firm can do it, but you can come to ETZ, we will take care of you. And then you can go out there and stress free. And this is about tax stress free of raising your money, raising your capital, and then grow your company, do your hiring, and go out there, kill it, right? Kill, do a great job, and then come back saying that now I'm at TGE. I'm about to TGE. After TGE, I have a X amount of liquid up token. And how do I do that? And then that may be another product with a charitable product or charitable related product, right? And eventually you grow, you say, look, I become a noticeable name in the market. I would like to have more privacy and more kind of figure out the liability between me and my company. Because why is that? People say Jiazi is ETZ. And yes and no. And I'm all about ETZ. I wear ETZ. I think ETZ. I started ETZ, but also company myself with myself when it comes to liability. So at that time, you want to think about how I actually put everything I do under a bigger structure where I'm protected, my family is protected. And so that's the next bracket thing, right? So I think is that when you grow your company, you should grow it with a professional firm that you trust, like Patrick or myself, and where we can also be on your side and watch out for you, and also do the things that you don't want to pay attention to, and not until the day is too late. What's the day is too late? When you receive an IRS tax bill, it's too late, because I don't have a power to tell them to take it back or rewrite that. And so yeah, so like I would say start early, be mindful. One of the things, be mindful, be curious, maybe just the 5 minutes broadcast you listen to Patrick, and then like you may learn one or two things that become real handy. Be curious, and also follow some success model. There's people out there make a lot of money, had done the tax right. So what's wrong with you following the best practice? Right. So so those are things I ask a founder, like, I know you're out there and are stressed out. I know you're out there like growing as fast as you can. I'm the same way. I know you're out there working 100 hours a week, but and every day goes by and every day your company and yourself stronger. And be honest, it's a one other day less that you have a chance to work on your tax. So think a little bit like that.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I see a lot of the same in my practice. I do empathize with these startup founders because they have so many competing priorities and they're spread extremely thin, like you alluded to. But it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. And the catch with tax planning is that it does have to be done in advance and you need to be proactive. So I completely agree with you. You need to be reaching out to your advisors as early as possible, but also taking a strategic approach, also like you were saying, and not
Mhm.
necessarily rushing into a trust structure right away that's going to cost 30K. Starting
Mhm.
with the right product and the right vehicles and the right strategies,
Right.
given where you're at now, and then planning for the next steps as you go. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with that. Are there, and is there any kind of like, if you're talking to like a founder or an investor that is hearing this and they're like, they need to wrap their head around this, they need to learn more about this, is there any recommendations that you would give them in terms of like places to go, learning materials that are out there about crypto retirement accounts and tax planning like this?
Yes, absolutely. I think there should be more useful contents out there. I feel like digital assets still so new and there's not many CPAs and then like law firm or retirement firm that's can get their hands around it. So I will actually highly recommend Patrick, like your broadcast and also your email outreach, and then to be on just send off the email alert. Also on ETZ side, you can visit ETZ website. It's etzsoft.com, soft.com. And on our website, we have our own blog. And also, you can follow us on LinkedIn. And we push a lot of case studies on the successful founders case study. And then you can actually read about, it's really short, read 1 to 2 page. And you'll be like, I guarantee you'll have a aha moment. And about, oh, wow, I didn't know this was exist. I get that all the time. And so, so that, and also additionally in the future we'll be putting out more broadcasts out there, and so follow us as well, and then on Twitter whatsoever, at Twitter or LinkedIn. So and lastly is that I was thinking just and keep your ears out. Some other founders may, you turn your head left and right. Some of the founder may already doing something. There may already Patrick or ETC's client, and then you should ask how, and ask, right? So I think it never too hurt to ask a question. And also one last thing is that, and we would love to talk to you, and I'm sure you are somewhere and frustrated about the situation that you're in today. So reach out to Patrick or myself on LinkedIn and book a time with us, and we are here to assist, to help you, either our clients or not. We would love to meet you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same way. I completely agree with you. And the case studies that you guys post are great. It's, a great opportunity for people that are considering these types of accounts to put themselves in an investor's or founder's shoes and really, start to see how this stuff works. And then you can go
Yeah.
and have the further conversations. Are there any updates or features or partnerships that's upcoming for ETZ that you want to highlight that you're excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. And so actually a lot of going on. First is that and so if you're a founder and you're using ETZ product, you actually will be invited to the founder club. And then we actually in the process for launching that. So we want to do series of invitation only, the round table dinner, where you'll be meeting other founders that's in the similar business or in the in the Web3, and to have a conversation, because we want you to support each other. And then it's not and be a founder is a lonely journey, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And so that's that. And second of all is that you will also have an opportunity to meet some of the founder that's maybe ahead of you. you and on timing wise, or so you can actually learn from how to do things right next, not just on tax advantages overall, in your TGE, and which market maker to pick and which exchange and so ever, and how token economics, all the great question. That's one. And second of all is that if you are VC and you're looking for some product for your founder and help them out, we're also launching a VC platform you can be part of. And so we want to make a VC look great friend or portfolio company. And then so that's that. And also on top of that, we're working with multiple bank and also credit custodians where we want to be multi and custodian multi-bank where and we can protect you, and because the single counterparty risk happens in a lot of times in the space, and here at ETZ the risk and security is something we're really proud of. So we want to make sure is a multi-say and is a multi-custodian multi-bank, and do you risk your asset, and also we do purchase insurance. And so here is that we're seeing the insurance industry is growing around digital asset, so we want to make sure that you have a peace of mind as well. So all those great things we're adding. And then lastly but not least is that we're actually looking at new product. We realize that your ETF was sitting there not earning anything, and your tokens at some exchange are not earning anything. You're just really taking a price appreciation or depreciation up and down. Is like a roller coaster in crypto. But in the same time, we want to make sure that there's other product, other yield you can earn while doing that. So we would like to show the customer what kind of risk level those products are, be completely transparent, and you can choose what you want to do or not, because completely, I mean, ETZ believe in financial freedom, and then a choice of investing in your future. So that is the choice of yours, but we want to provide that choice.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so you guys have a lot going on right now, and
Yeah, definitely.
some very great features that you're rolling out. And the networking group sounds really interesting because founders that are using ETZ Soft are doing several things right, because they're founding a successful Web3 startup, but they're also planning for taxes. So these are the types of great minds in the industry that I believe it would be fantastic to meet and get to know more. So I encourage you to check out ETZ. So someone that's intrigued by ETZ and you as well, what would be the best way for them to get in contact with your company? And then also, if they wanted to speak with you individually, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, actually, I need to do a better job of that because we've been quietly building the company for 2+ years, and I have not been broadcast a lot. So it's my bad. But I would definitely, my team and myself is working on that. But I would say, and if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, is really JIAZIGUO and Jiazi, and I do respond my LinkedIn message. Also, my email is J, and J is in James, J at etzsoft.com. And then you can email me. And I actually been getting thank you letters from customers. So would love to hear from you. Also questions that you may have. And then also like you can also go on our website, etzsoft.com. There's a contact button. You can send out that actually go to all my teams, and we will able to see your request and address it timely. And in the future, we'll love to have a better, more interactions with our customer or potential customers. And I will try to do more with Patrick, either at the Web3 conference. Look out for us for events, and come to our networking event, and or just be part of our ecosystem. We're also building the ETZ community as well. And so we'll make sure that and we'll ride by your hand when you need us.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on a guest here today, and I'm definitely looking forward to having you as a returning guest. I think this was a great episode that is packed with great tax planning strategies. So, thank you again for coming on as a guest. And to everybody watching, I hope that you took some value from this episode. I encourage you to reach out to Jiazi and our team at ETZ Soft. Until next time, I'm Patrick Camuso, signing off.
Thank you.